Thank you very much for joining us for the main news on Camnet TV. My name is Marco Kozi. Let's take a look at the stories making the headlines. BOWMAN LUSAMBO dispels claims that former President Edgar Lungu is broke for seeking his retirement benefits. Divergent views continue on cause for President HICHILEMA to declare his assets. VEEP calls on the global community to devise funding for refugees. And in international news, Chad votes on new constitution ahead of promised end of military rule. And in sports news, new Forest Rangers head coach MWENYA CHIPEPO targets top 6 finish and ABSA Cup glory. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point-of-sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, 4th close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren B, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren B is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren B, a touch of class.
Welcome back, and now the news in detail. A social cash transfer beneficiary based in Ndola district of the Copperbelt province has told Camnet News that the program has been instrumental in uplifting his life. Mavuto Piri says he has been able to utilize the money to get under the program to undertake farming activities for self-sustenance. He has, however, called on government and its cooperating partners to consider expediting the process of dispersing the funds as well as increasing the amount they receive. Donors of the Government of Republic of Zambia, United Nations joint program on social cash transfer are the governments of Ireland, Switzerland, United Kingdom and Sweden. We have details in the following reports.
Persons with cross-cutting disabilities in the country are confronted with several challenges, but not limited to accessibility in physical environments and the internet, social exclusion and the absence of assistive technology and barriers in healthcare and in the workplace. The social cash transfer program is among key interventions the Zambian government has been implementing with the support of multilateral and bilateral partners. On the Copperbelt in Ndola district, we met Mavuto Piri, who shares his experience on the social cash transfer program.
Tilipo social transfer cash timalandira ndipo ndifoyamikira kwambiri apa pamene afaka na mafoni manje, although program imabwera very late, so that benango ma budget yali very
For Mr. Piri, the program has been helpful in transforming his life, further stating that he has been able to get involved in farming using the money he gets through the program.
It's very necessary, although nikangono, but pamene nikamba so ni namunda zimani tandizo pasa kwa vantu endolima. Then I'm also under VEEP. Yeah, so it's a fertilizer wanatipasa up tiendo shanga.
Notably, the government has further increased the transfer value from 300 kwacha to 400 kwacha for vulnerable, able-bodied households and 600 kwacha to 800 kwacha for vulnerable disabled households. But who would not want a little extra cash.
Kupempa kwanga ngapembe ati at least bati mbelela ko chifundo bafakako kangono pamwamba.
Non-state actors acknowledge that the program is a vital tool for poverty reduction, but they are never shy to remind the government of the need to continue increasing the number of beneficiaries and the amount.
But also the targeted beneficiaries or citizen population to increase. If it's social protection, we should be able to, over the next 3 years, when we're undergoing this debt restructuring, to at least attain 100% of all extremely poor households being on social assistance support.
The wealth of a nation can be seen from how it takes care of its vulnerable citizens. Hence, undoubtedly, social protection is a necessity. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
An agricultural specialist has advised farmers to consider planting legumes this farming season, considering the poor rainfall pattern. In an interview with Camnet News, EDGAR Nyanga says this will allow the country to have enough food for the coming year. Professor Nyanga says farmers must also consider planting early, especially those who are planting maize. He observes that seasons are changing due to climate change and that farmers must adapt to the situation. He also says there is need to plant more trees in order to mitigate the effects of climate change.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have seen the effects, negative effects of climate change. And so this goes to all of us as farmers and also as policymakers to come up with methods such as potholing, minimum tillage, and also, planting crops that will help us, rejuvenate our soil. And also we reduce on tree cutting, which is deforestation, which are culminating into, climate change. And so we advise farmers, number one, to grow legumes that will help, put in some nutrients into the soil, and also advise them to plant early, and also those crops that have got short growing period. In that way, we'll be able, to have enough food to feed ourselves, even to have extra to sell.
The Pass the Tobacco Control Bill Consortium has challenged the government to pass the Tobacco Control Bill by next year in order to save the lives of many generations. Speaking at the concert at Lusaka's Levy Junction, Consortium Vice Chairperson Albert Piri says passing the Tobacco Control Bill will provide regulation relating to the importation, taxation and use of tobacco, which are key to reducing on the health hazards that comes with it. Meanwhile, Center for Trade Policy and Development CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says tobacco-related illnesses remain a burden to the country's productive sectors. Here's a report.
About 18,000 farmers, comprising 17,800 small-scale farmers and about 200 commercial farmers in Zambia, engage in tobacco growth. Despite this venture being lucrative on the side of farmers, the underlying issues of tobacco has led to about 7,142 Zambian lives being lost annually. According to the World Health Organization, 800 yearly deaths are due to second-hand smoke exposure, while 60% of annual deaths are from tobacco under the age of 70. While these statistics call for the need to regulate the use of tobacco in the country, the Tobacco Control Consortium has challenged the government to pass the bill by 2024 for life to be safeguarded. Consortium Vice Chairperson Albert Piri says passing the Tobacco Control Bill will be key to providing regulations relating to the importation, taxation and the use of tobacco, which are key to reducing the health threats that come with it.
Nothing has been done. Zambia next year becomes 60. Zambia next year is a senior citizen. Zambia next year is 60. Will Zambia be 60 without a tobacco control law?
Speaking during a concert, Center for Trade Policy and Development CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says 7,000 deaths are recorded annually as a result of tobacco-related illnesses. Hence, passing the bill is important.
Come up with innovative ways of ensuring that young people remain active in terms of smoking, issues around shisha. We've seen now that there are even things like e-cigarettes. But we are coming today to share with you that tobacco, be it e-cigarette or be it the stick itself, is harmful to your health and to my health. And there is need for all of us to desist from the use of tobacco. Tobacco is harmful, and there is need for all of us to avoid the use of tobacco. I'll end my remarks by requesting that you join me in shouting and demanding for government to pass
the concert focused on sensitization and advice through music was provided. Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister in the MMD government, Kelly Walubita, is impressed with the international relations government has continued to create under the United Party for National Development, UPND. Dr. Walubita says this will help the country strengthen its economy and attain sustainable development. He says President HICHILEMA has marketed the country very well and expects that this will bring forex. Dr. Walubita says the peace and unity the country is enjoying will create a favorable investment destination. He says this has created investor confidence, adding that most investors want to invest in stable countries where they know their investments are safe.
Well addressed. Now, the president himself has done quite a lot. The connections he has made worldwide will bear fruit, and we are looking towards 2024 as a year not of further planning, but as a year when the government will simply implement its plans, its programs. It's the year that will lead to 2025, and of course it will be a year that will lead to 2026. So really we would be able to see a lot of activities in terms of implementation of government programs, ideas in the year 2024. So as far as I'm concerned, I think we are on course as a country. So much has been done in selling or marketing Zambia worldwide, and we can see some of the efforts. Excuse me. Excuse me. We'll be able to see some of our efforts as a government being implemented, spearheaded by the president himself. So really we would be able to see a lot of activities in all the major sectors of government in terms of implementation of policies, implementation of ideas, implementation of strategies that have been put on hold in planning for the future.
A parliamentarian has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to order for the cleanup of the Access to Information Bill before assenting it to law. Kamfisa Member of Parliament Christopher Kangombe argues that assenting the bill into law by President Hichilema without calling for amendments will be retrogressive for fulfilling the purpose of the process. On Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, Parliament passed the ATI Bill number 24 of 2023 into law after it went through the third reading.
Document that was voted for in Parliament, which provisions will not enhance access to information. There are things, for instance, in Section 22 that talk about what is a matter of public interest. The Section 22 prescribes, but then if you go to Section 24, the provision in Section 24 are at variance. They're in conflict with the provisions in Section 22, which essentially means that on one hand, the law is saying this information can be granted to you. In the other section, the provision is saying the Constitution, the laws cannot allow you to access this particular information. What am I trying to say? There are provisions, about 3 or 4, that needs to be cleaned up. For instance, we've been told that if one institution of government denies a member of the public information, they can go and appeal to the Human Rights Commission. If the Human Rights Commission agrees that you should not have access to that information, you can then proceed to the High Court for reliefs. Now, my question and my argument yesterday, which is also my argument today, is that why should someone have to hire a lawyer or to go to the High Court simply to get information which could be granted? And this is why, for me, my appeal to the President of the Republic of Zambia, the objectives of the Access to Information Bill will not be achieved if the law in its current state is signed and adopted. We should have cleaned it up. I think we have a good start because the document is before Parliament. There's nothing wrong with cleaning up those particular provisions that may prevent people from accessing information. Information on procurement, there are provisions in the law which are simply stating that if you want to ask for procurement information on military equipment, procurement on military aspects, you can't question the defense wings. I think these are things that could be avoided. Let's avoid provisions that will prevent people from accessing information.
Vice President Mutalena Lumango has called on the global community to set up a special fund under the United Nations High Commission for Refugees to reduce the financial burden of African countries hosting refugees, especially in Africa. Ms. Nalumango says the global refugee crisis has continued to escalate, placing an immense strain on host countries that have generously opened their borders to displaced populations. The Vice President said this during the closing ceremony of the Global Refugee Forum in Geneva, Switzerland, that was taking place from the 13th to the 15th of December 2023. Ms. Nalumango emphasized the need for the global community to come up with the unrestricted fund to support refugees hosting nations as part of the global efforts of addressing the plight of displaced populations. Ms. Nalumango stated that the unrestricted fund for refugees will enhance the effectiveness of humanitarian efforts in host countries. The Vice President graced the second Global Forum on Refugees in Geneva as a keynote speaker alongside 3 other high-profile figures, including United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who connected to the conference via satellite. Some stakeholders have echoed calls on Republican President Hakainde Hichilema to declare his assets and liabilities, further describing government's stance on the issue as unfounded. Opposition Patriotic Front Chairman for Legal George Senga argues that Article 91, 92 and 163 of the Constitution speak to the need for the sitting president to declare assets and says the amendment of Article 34, Sub-Article 5B of the 1996 Constitution, which required the president to declare his or her assets and liabilities, is baseless. But Southern Africa Network Against Corruption, SANAC Executive Director Gregory Chifire and good governance activist Wesley Mianda call for the need to have annual declaration of assets by all public officers and review the Constitution. Here's a report.
In recent months, debate ensued on whether or not Republican President Hakainde Hichilema should declare his assets and liabilities. As per the campaign promise, among the notables to have joined the debate is United States Ambassador to Zambia, Michael Gonzalez. A response from Minister of Information and Media, Cornelius Mweto, on 29 November 2023, disclosed that the previous government amended the Constitution in 2016 and removed Article 34, Sub-Article 5B of the 1996 Constitution, which required the President to declare assets and liabilities, making it difficult for a sitting President to declare assets and liabilities to the public now unless to the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
For His Excellency President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to declare annually his assets and liabilities presently in Zambia, according to our statutes and our law, there is no law which requires the President to declare his assets and or liabilities annually. The position of the law that this declaration is made to the Electoral Commission or returning officer.
But Opposition Patriotic Front legal chairperson George Chisanga argues that legal provisions are available such as Articles 91, 92 and 163 of the Constitution of Zambia compelling a sitting president to declare their assets and liabilities to the public. Mr. Chisanga, lawyer by profession, argues that the removal of Article 34 Sub-Article 5B of the 1996 Constitution was done in good faith and indicates that reliance was placed on Articles 91, 92 and 163 of the Constitution of Zambia.
Two very important constitutional provisions in the Constitution, Article 91 and Article 92, that place on the President of the Republic of Zambia onerous responsibilities of ensuring that he is an impeccable individual. Okay, it demands of the Republican President to ensure that he protects and upholds the Constitution. And I've argued that this President is falling short of doing that. The Constitution requires the President of the Republic of Zambia to manage the affairs of the nation with integrity, with dignity, and with leadership. Okay, now, if you have to take those three qualifications that I've read for you, Chair, in the Constitution, in Article 91, integrity, dignity, and leadership, they are that somebody can fall foul of these temptations. And the only way you can show the people that you can be trusted continuously is to be transparent and to be able to let them know every time what is happening as you're carrying out the official functions of the presidency.
But an organization championing corruption, Community Action Against Corruption, has backed calls for President Hichilema to declare his assets and liabilities.
By the chief government spokesperson, to the effect that the clause which mandated presidents to declare their assets was removed from the 1996 Republican Constitution by the PF government. We should not go that way. What we should do is to do what is right. The PF removed that clause in the Constitution in order to secure the future of the assets and wealth which they were accumulating in a wrong way. So there is no need for the UPND government to go that way. All what they have to do is to correct the wrong things and make them upright.
While the government contends that there is no legal provision and the opposition maintains that legal provisions for declaring assets are available, a good governance and human rights activist, Wesley Mianda, has called for a constitutional review.
Let this constitution be amended. Let's have a clear-cut, point where we should not be, twisting, one another. Those that are qualified enough, it's unfortunate that even our lawyers, sometimes they end up entangling themselves into all these, constitutional issues.
And Southern Africa Network Against Corruption Executive Director Gregory Chifire proposes that the declaration of assets by all public officers should be done annually.
Then going forward, I think we would want to propose that the declaration of assets should actually be done annually, and a special gazette may be introduced where all the assets that are declared are published for the general public to see. And then the second also proposition is that the declaration of assets should extend to other office bearers, the public office bearers as well as constitutional office bearers, so that we see, we monitor as a people how these assets are being acquired by public and constitutional office bearers.
Time to have legal reforms. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Lusaka Province Minister BOWMAN LUSAMBO says former President Edgar Lungu is not broke but merely requesting for what he worked for. He wondered how the former head of state can be broke when people he saved are not. And the former Kabushi constituency lawmaker has charged that the arrest of opposition political party leaders has seen Zambia's cooperating partners lose confidence in the current administration. Mr. Lusambo urged the government to look beyond the International Monetary Fund by finding locally driven solutions to economic challenges the country is faced with. He says the greatest opposition to the UPND are the people of Zambia who are feeling the impact of the high cost of living. Here's a report.
Because politicians sometimes are useless. We are useless sometimes because we think with our egos, not our brains. The things which is happening in our country today, you can even see that they are not using their brains, they are using their egos. You can even see that. So bakapokola ubupuba bwesu former politician imwe muchulilemo. Why?
Saturday, 16th October 2023, former Lusaka Province Minister BOWMAN LUSAMBO held his last press conference for the year 2023, where he tackled a number of issues ranging from politics to economy. The former Kabushi constituency lawmaker defended former President Edgar Lungu's bid to have his retirement package reinstated. Mr. Lungu has filed a petition before the Lusaka High Court to reinstate his benefits as former head of state that was taken away last month following his public announcement that he has reverted to active politics. The matter has attracted divergent views among members of the general public, but Mr. Lusambo says Mr. Lungu worked for the money.
President Edgar Chagwa Lungu is just claiming what belongs to him. Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. That's all. Okay? That's all. So, now to ishimira ndu shiri mukoti, barepo ayo kulolekesha hapo, barepo kulolekesha hapo, tualanda pofe pantu, ama Zambianzi, na chila mwana pa social media, yo, president, na chita nani, na di broko. Ima president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu kutita wa broko, ine shiri broko. How? President Lungu awe broko, ine shiri broko. Na kwa tare, Lungu, bate mwafio kujesabi.
Meanwhile, Mr. Lusambo has implored the United Party for National Development UPND administration to look beyond the International Monetary Fund program by finding local solutions to economic challenges the country is confronted with.
No, by for Zambia, no muntu kukwata $50,000 mulandu mweba. Skula lyafye ubwali na kapenta. Enchito yesu. Ifyota fya bombe yo. Tatwa sumine ukutwale chalo chesu chibe a begging country. We want our people to invest in our economy. We want our fellow Zambians to have money. Ama Zambians ngaba kwa tempia nish government ya kwa tempia.
However, it is worth noting that Republican President HICHILEMA has been wondering what the PF would do, which they failed to do in 10 years.
People forget how they brutalize citizens. And when they say, Alewe, I said, what? To come and do what? To continue the lynching.
But the political bulldozer claims that the greatest opposition of the current administration are the people who are feeling the negative impact of the high cost of living.
And I've challenged the police, give me one rally. Say Osaka, Central, Copper Belt, Inefyeneka, not Atishan, Inefyeneka. And I will show you that UPND is nowhere to be seen because the people of Zambia, they have already decided.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
On that note, we break for some commercials. We have more news coming up. Don't go away.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point of sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, fourth close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren B, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren B is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren B, a touch of class.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Prisoner Reintegration Organization Executive Director Derek Malumo has urged the Zambia Correctional Services to improve on the provision of nutritious food for inmates, especially those who are on HIV treatment. According to the Zambia Correctional Service, out of close to 25,000 inmates housed in various correctional centers in the country, 3,650 are receiving antiretroviral therapy. And Mr. Malumo regrets that poor diet in correctional facilities remains a problem that needs government attention. He says the improving nutrition is vital in order to protect the lives of the inmates in the country.
Of care. There should be adherence to treatment. And then when they are released, we are talking about are they being connected, linked to healthcare support in the public health system. So we are in advocacy as well to ask that can the Zambia Correctional Service do much where nutrition is concerned. Those are issues that the government should take care of, because the government is responsible for the nutrition. They need to feed inmates. Those who are on treatment need to be taken care of, because you cannot take drugs alone without feeding. So this is why we are calling on government to ensure that they provide nutritional support to inmates. Of course, civil society organizations are there to complement efforts of government. We know that some organizations go in, the churches go in, they do what they can in terms of supporting the correctional service, but really it's the responsibility of government that they should take care of the inmates.
The Mungu Municipal Council Assistant Public Relations Manager Abike Ositenge has urged correctional facilities supervisors to be providing protective clothing for inmates when they are assigned to work on drainages. Ms. Sitenge says was reacting to concerns from the general public on Friday that inmates work without protective clothing. Here's a report.
Mungu residents have raised concern over inmates that clean drainages without protective clothing. The residents have since appealed to the local authority to assist the inmates with the right protective clothing whenever they are collecting garbage and cleaning drainages. Speaking to Camnet News in Mungu on Friday, one of the residents in Nyamberubinda says it's unfortunate to see inmates work without protective clothing, which can result in them contracting some diseases. Other residents have this to say. And Abigail Stenge is Mungu Municipal Council Assistant Public Relations Manager.
So we wish to confirm that the protective clothing was actually procured for the inmates. Last month we had procured about 40 gloves as well as some pairs of gumboots. Okay, we know very well that they can't work without protective clothing. We also have masks. So in case you find them working without those, it could be just an oversight in terms of people that are responsible to make sure that they are actually wearing the protective clothing at the time of cleaning.
Ms. Stenge is urging the correctional facility supervisors to be providing corrective protective clothing for inmates whenever they are assigned to work on drainages.
To advise them to ensure that whenever they are supervising the inmates as they discharge their duties, they should just ensure that the supervisors, especially when they are cleaning drainages, should be in those protective clothing, because you see, with the onset of rain, it's not a good thing to see someone cleaning without gumboots and gloves.
One of Zambia's police goals focus on prevention of diseases and accidents in the workplace. For Camnet News, Musiabo Kabira, Mungu, Western Province.
The Zambia National Farmers Union, ZNFU, has called on the government through the Ministry of Agriculture to timely expedite the actualization and implementation of the Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility (SAF) program in order to enable farmers utilize the facility without delay. ZNFU Vice President in charge of small-scale farmers, Nsubula Hajipavende, says the credit window, which is aimed at allowing citizens access affordable agricultural loans, is a milestone.
Tending to everyone who wants to grow grain, especially maize. This program, the objective is really to attend or to respond to the shortage or inadequacy of grain in the country. As ZNFU, we applaud government and we encourage government to bring more of such initiatives. But as ZNFU realized that this program is just on paper. A lot of people, a lot of government officers, officials have made statements on it. The Minister of Agriculture was on TV. He was on interview last Sunday, and he indicated positively that this program is taking off already. Unfortunately, on the ground, things are not as they are saying it. We want to encourage government that they move immediately and give out this loan. This scheme should reach the intended beneficiaries, the farmers, within time. Agriculture is about time. So if you delay on time, it means you will not get the results.
On that note, we break for some commercials. Still ahead, we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point-of-sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, 4th close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren B, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren B is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren B, a touch of class.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. And now in international news, Chadians vote on Sunday on a new constitution in a key step towards elections promised but postponed by the ruling junta and seen as a test of legitimacy for the Deby dynasty more than 30-year rule. Transitional President General Muhammad Idris Deby, whose junta has governed since 2021, has had promised to hand over to civilian and hold elections this year before postponing them to 2024. The yes vote is expected to win the constitutional referendum after a well-financed campaign by the ruling junta against the divided opposition, which has faced arrests, intimidation and threats for more than a year. In the capital, N'Djamena, posters are splashed across walls in support of proposed constitution, which calls for a unitary and decentralized state. We now have a roundup of African news.
People in Chad will vote on a new constitution on Sunday that, if approved, will bring the Central African country closer to elections. The vote is also seen as a litmus test for the 3-decade Idris Deby family rule over the oil-producing state. The new draft, like the previous one, concentrates power in the hands of the head of state. The first issue is the turnout. The second is the very credibility of the referendum. Because from start to finish, it was the Ministry of Administration that managed the process, and in the provinces it was the governors, in the departments it was the prefects. So it was carried out single-handedly by the government, which in principle should be neutral. The two main opposition groups have urged a boycott of the vote, which the yes camp is expected to win. The opponents are pinning their hopes on a low turnout, which they say would undermine the ruling army junta. There will be challenges, because alongside those who have called for no vote, those who are in favor of boycotting and all that, people want to have citizen control. Gabon's army ruler, General Brice Oligui Nguema, has toured several regional countries in an apparent effort to have his country admitted back into the bloc. The army has proposed a 2-year transition which will culminate in elections. Somalia was on Friday formally admitted as the 8th member state of the East African Community, 3 weeks after being approved at the Leaders' Summit in Arusha, Tanzania. President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud signed the Treaty of Accession in the presence of South Sudanese President Salva Kiir, the current chair of the East African Community, and Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni at a ceremony held in Entebbe, Uganda. The East African Community is a trade bloc as well as a customs union. But the region's biggest economies, Kenya and Tanzania, have been accused of attempts to stifle free trade. The bloc has been criticized for expanding too fast at the expense of achieving meaningful integration. Just like with the admission of Somalia, the community was criticized for approving the membership of the Democratic Republic of Congo, whose eastern region remains at war. The region is also beset by political conflicts between member states, which critics say are undermining the bloc's progress. Kinshasa, for example, accuses Kigali of waging war against it by using the M23 rebels as a proxy.
And now in sports news, a new Forest Rangers head coach Felix MWENYA CHIPEPO is setting his sights on winning the last 2 games of the first round of Super League in order to secure a coveted top 6 finish and place in the ABSA Cup competition. Speaking ahead of Saturday's Week 16 fixture against Green Buffaloes, CHIPEPO acknowledged the strength of their opponents but emphasized his team is determined to triumph on home turf. CHIPEPO joined Forest Rangers a month ago after leaving defending champions Power Dynamos. Since taking over 3 games ago, CHIPEPO has drawn twice and secured a crucial 1-0 victory against his former club, Power Dynamos. Forest Rangers currently sit on 11th position in the league standings with 19 points, 3 points adrift of the top 6 and an ABSA Cup qualification spot with just 2 rounds remaining in the first half of the season. With Zesco United already guaranteed a place in the ABSA Cup as league leaders, the remaining 5 spots are up for grabs in the final week of the fixtures. After hosting Green Buffaloes, Forest Rangers will face Kansanshi Dynamos in their final first round match. The race for ABSA Cup promises to be a thrilling finish with several teams vying for the remaining slots. That's it. That's all the news we had. But before we go, another look at the stories that made the headlines. BOWMAN LUSAMBO dispels claims that former President Edgar Lungu is broke for seeking his retirement benefits. Divergent views continue on calls for President HICHILEMA to declare his assets. VEEP calls on the global community to devise funding for refugees. In international news, Chad on new constitution ahead of promised end of military rule. And in sports news, new Forest Rangers head coach MWENYA CHIPEPO targets top 6 finish and ABSA Cup glory. That's it. That's all we had. But before we go, let's now have a look at today's Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, and it says, "Finally, all of you be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, and be compassionate and humble." That's it. That's all we had for the news. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin. On behalf of the entire news team, have a blessed night.